I've said a number of times that the universe sends you messages that some of us just don't get. This past week, I was on my way to meet with a bunch of old police buddies from the 60s and 70s, and I was stopped here in Las Vegas. My daughter and I are on our way to feed the Canadian ducks at Lorenzi Park, and this police officer pulls us over, and the first thing I'm thinking is, okay, what have I done? Now, being a former military and San Francisco police officer with teacher's credential police, I know I haven't done anything that'll get me shot, but, you know, we're in the United States, and the media is putting out some false flags that make it really scary for the common sense majority of citizens. I realized afterwards that he pulled me over. This was a community relations stop. He pulled me over to talk about my handicap sticker, which was hanging in the front window and might block my vision. And when he left, I'm thinking, this guy was so nice, this had to be a community relations stop. So I took that mentality to the meeting in Contra Costa, California. Now, back in the day, I remember when I first moved back to the East Coast in Baltimore, I was working 1 to 9 in the reservation center. 10 to 6, I was running the Greyhound terminal, and then I was selling air cargo from Washington, D.C. to Bayonne, New Jersey. And one day, I must have been really tired because my Chrysler Fifth Avenue must have pulled over to the side of the road and stopped. 3 hours later, I woke up knowing I had to get back, get showered and everything, and get to work at 1 o'clock. That message to me was, you need to stop. So I took one job. I went to work with Northwest Airlines, worked in reservations, and I worked overtime at that one job. That's what the universe has done to me forever. I've gotten myself in as much mess, particularly as a police officer who would not tolerate racism during the 60s. In the military, when they didn't promote us, we went to the IG. We played platoon system in basketball where only blacks could play on. We could only play on the second team. So I've gotten myself in a lot of messes. Now, the interesting thing is I was also looking for properties. Using my GI Bill, I want a 4-unit building, so I stopped in Bakersfield, Fresno, Modesto. And what I found is, just like when I was in real estate in California back in the years, I can't trust real estate brokers in California. A little further, I got to the meeting, and I'm sitting next to the only white lady in the meeting. She's married to the one police officer who didn't do what the rest of us did. In fact, he wrote a book talking about him selling marijuana when he was a police officer, which I find insulting. And he wanted to pass that book on to City College in San Francisco State. Now, the white lady sitting beside me, and the first thing she said, "Don't put your hat on the table." Now, there's a lady across from me. She said, "What year were you in? Did you know Don Daniels?" And I explained to her, Don Daniels was my trainer. San Francisco Police Department had a philosophy: if you put a good rookie with a bad police officer, you end up with 2 bad police officers. Don was the kind of guy that one day this white guy was beating a 64-year-old man who was having a diabetic seizure with his club, and Don walked in and said, "You hit him again, I'm going to hit you with my club." I told you the story about Big Willie, the biggest human I ever saw, when Don told me if I couldn't maintain my cool, I needed to stay in the police car. We went in and met the biggest guy I've ever seen, who loved to fight white police officers. But Don said, "Bill, if you can't handle it, you stay in the car." Went in. Willie said, "Where's your buddies?" Don says, "It's just me and Bill." Willie let him handcuff him. Then the white guys came on in. Willie said, "Damn you, Don." Don looked at me with a smile on his face. Now, I'm sure she didn't want to hear that story, so I reached across to Eugene Brown, former All-American with USF, first black sheriff, and I said, "Don, do you remember who the most racist cop was in Park Station?" He immediately gave us the name. All of that was to send a message, just as the universe sends me messages. I'm not buying the false flags that I'm seeing of all the cops killing blacks, the blacks attacking cops, because I was warned about this when I read the book, The Man Who Cried I Am, in 1967, and he told us that the United States would use all these false flags to take us into military law. I would not vote for Hillary. I will not vote for Trump. When Ross Perot ran in order to vote outside the two parties, I voted for Ross Perot. I'm no different in 2016. I'm not the guy you can scare into doing things. I don't believe that all white cops are bad. I don't believe Obama is all good. In fact, I've done my research with Hillary, Obama, and with Donald Trump, and I think Donald Trump is a diversion. Learn to listen to the universe and get over the fear factor.